right. Once again, we in the building. That's right. It's our new podcast out right here. It's called Don't Say Nothing Stupid. It's a positive pipeline podcast. And we have the pleasure today in the building.
In the building.
In the building, y'all. We got the honorable George Clay in the building. Oh man, oh man. And today, it's your host, DJ Buddha Rush in the building. And we got my co-host in the building. That's gonna be amateur.
Shit, I'm straight.
Head nod. Oh man, today I'm telling you, man, we're gonna have a very interesting podcast today. I want you guys to tune in, tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. But before we do that, guess what? I want you guys to go vote. Please go vote. Remind yourself. Type it in your phone and remind yourself to go to the polls. You got until 7 o'clock to get there. We need you to go to the polls and place your vote. Okay?
Sir.
I got my sticker. I already got my tickle sticker. Whatever you want to call it. You got to get in. Well, we all going to get our sticker today, but we need you guys to go to the polls. We need you guys to go there heavily. That's right. We want a 80%, 90% turnout rate in Macon County. That's what we want. We want no 20, no 15, because if you want to speak out loud, place your vote. You can go in there quiet. Once you make that mark, it's real loud. I'm telling y'all now, you can keep up a lot of fuss with that vote. You really can.
Vote, baby.
Vote, baby, vote. That's right. Okay, now we have in the building none other than the Honorable George Clay. George Clay, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Doing fine. Okay. Now, we got a couple of questions for you.
Shoot.
Okay. Let's shoot to the hip right here.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Okay, Mr. The Honorable George Clay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh man, there's so much to tell. I got 82 years of stuff in there.
82. Ooh.
So we'll try to abbreviate it a little bit.
Okay.
Well, most people don't know. Streeter was saying I should talk about some things people don't know about me.
Okay.
And share.
Okay.
I was born in Chicago.
Chicago.
Chi-town.
Chi-town.
City.
My parents that were natives of Mississippi
Okay.
met and married and produced me.
Okay.
In Chicago. My father was killed in a fishing accident when I was 6 months old.
Wow.
And so my mother then took me back to Mississippi. She went back home to Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay.
And we stayed there with my grandmother, and we have a business there, Berry and Gardner's Funeral Home, that was founded in 1882.
It's still there?
It's still there. It's still in operation. It's the
Wow.
oldest black-owned business in the state of Mississippi.
Wow.
See, I ain't know that.
Wow.
Well,
Hey.
operated by
That's why
family.
we gotta
Yeah,
have
right.
these type things, man.
Yeah.
'cause
Right. That's right.
We didn't know that.
I know. See, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I knew you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, actually, I worked in the funeral home. That was my first job,
Okay.
Okay.
working in the funeral home, driving in funerals. So, but at any rate, when I was 8 years old, my mother remarried, and we moved to Birmingham.
Birmingham.
That's how I got into the state of Alabama.
Okay.
So I grew up in Birmingham, attending Hudson Elementary School there,
Okay.
and Parker High School
Parker.
in Birmingham. Finished Parker in 1960, and went to Howard University,
Howard University.
where I
HBCU.
graduated in 1964 with a major in business, concentrating in accounting, and a minor in economics. Well, you know, Howard's a wonderful place.
Yeah, that's what I was finna ask you. So, how was Howard back then? Like,
Well, I don't think Howard has changed very much over the years. It has grown.
Okay.
It's larger now than it was then, and they cover more subject matter now than they did then. But I think when I was there were about 6,000 students.
Wow.
And so now they're probably up to maybe 18,000.
Right.
So, I mean, Howard's much larger now than it
was
was
back
then. but great nevertheless. And of course, Howard was founded back in around 1867 or so. It was actually founded right at the end of the Civil War,
Wow.
and it
Wow.
was put together really by the federal government and was funded by the federal government, and still is, so far as I know. It was funded to some extent by the federal government when I was there. But at any
Did
rate,
you pledge anything at Howard?
beg pardon?
Pledge any fraternities at Howard?
Oh, all the fraternities, most of them started at Howard.
No, I said, did you pledge any?
Not at Howard,
Not
no.
at Howard. Okay.
I'm a member of Sigma Pi Phi fraternity,
Okay.
which only has graduate chapters.
Okay.
We don't have any undergraduate
Gotcha.
chapters, and it's a fraternity of community leaders, actually,
Right. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
which is met right here at Vibes. We've had our meetings.
Oh, well. Hey,
Yeah.
the vibe.
I thought you'd like that.
I love that.
And meetings went very well, by the way.
Okay, great.
Okay.
But at any rate, I finished Howard in '64, and first job was an accounting job, cost accounting job at Cook Electric Company.
Okay.
In Chicago, actually in Skokie, outside of Chicago, and it was part of we supplied parts for the Air Force.
Okay.
And so I did cost accounting with a lot of stuff. I remember there used to be camera capsules that they used when they sent when they did space shots.
Right.
The way that they got their pictures of the space shot was by taking pictures on the actual rocket
Wow.
and sending camera capsules back to Earth.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, that's the way they did it.
Wow.
See, now you can do things live,
Right.
actually,
Right.
from those rockets.
Mhm.
But back then, they would shoot the rocket off, but the rockets had camera capsules
Okay.
that would expel from those rockets at various points.
Wow. Okay.
In the line.
Okay.
And so I did cost analysis on that and on some radar, various kinds of things that the military used, mostly the Air Force. So that was my first job, and I got drafted off that job into the United States Army
Okay.
in 1965,
Wow.
and served as a nuclear weapons specialist in the Army, and I was stationed in Greece in a missile detachment in Greece,
Man.
northern Greece.
Okay.
So did that, and when I got out, instead of going back, to the job that I had in Chicago, where I stayed in Chicago long enough to know that it was too cold there for me. I was used to Alabama weather.
Right.
so I went back to Birmingham
Okay.
and worked, got a job as chief accountant for Protective Industrial Insurance Company,
Okay.
which is a black-owned insurance company, which is affiliated or was affiliated with Seal and Harris Funeral Home there in Birmingham. And really, that was a lot like the way I grew up around the funeral home in Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay.
So that was very, very familiar to me. And I stayed there for a short period of time when I realized that everybody that was above me in the company was a member of the family.
Wow.
So I was at my high
You was
point
at-
already.
There wasn't too much you could do, huh?
Right.
So a guy named John Drew, who founded Alexander and Company here in Tuskegee, actually it started off as Drew Alexander and Company. It was founded here in Tuskegee.
Wow.
We had office in Birmingham, and they found out, they met me in Birmingham, hired me, sent me down here to manage Alexander and Company in Tuskegee.
Okay.
And
Was
they're
that
out
your
of
first
business.
introduction
now.
to
They're not-
Tuskegee?
Beg pardon?
Was that your first introduction to Tuskegee, or you had?
I had been here on trips to the Carver Museum.
Right. Okay.
Where in my classwork, in Birmingham, we would go on trips.
Okay.
Okay.
And the Carver Museum here in Tuskegee was one of those trips. So I had been here before, and also I had a cousin that was in school down here, and so I thought I'd come on down here and hang out with her and
Yeah.
her friends.
Right, right, right.
I had been on an isolated missile detachment for over a year,
Wow.
where there were no women.
Yeah, right, right.
Okay.
Right.
So coming to Tuskegee seemed to be a good idea. And of course, as it turns out, I didn't last too long. I met Pat Clay,
Okay.
who was Pat Nettles at the time,
Right.
and we got hooked up and we got
grabbed
married
John.
and
Yeah.
Took you on.
produced
you out.
pretty good family.
That's right. That's right.
So, but when I came to Tuskegee and worked for Alexander and Company, again I had been involved in insurance at the funeral home back in Meridian, and then I had been chief accountant for an insurance company. So coming down here and getting involved with property and casualty insurance was, while it was a little bit different, it was not foreign to me.
Right, right.
So I did well, increased the company considerably. But I got involved in the civil rights movement here.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I ain't know
Mr.
none of this
Frank
stuff.
Wright,
Right. Yeah. This.
Okay, go ahead.
All this is new.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank Wright,
Right. Right. Okay.
and James A. Johnson,
James
people
A.
you all may not know,
Okay.
but they were very active in the NAACP
Okay.
here in Tuskegee, and they also were members of Washington Chapel Church. They came and got me and said, "Look, we want you to be president of the NAACP here."
Oh.
So I said, "Well, okay, I can do that."
Right. Right.
And so we got involved, and immediately there came some racial issues.
Okay.
Although there had already been a boycott here
Mhm.
that was about voting,
Right. Right.
and W.P. Mitchell, Dr. Gomillion,
Ooh.
K.L. Buford,
Wow.
uh, Miss Guzman,
Okay.
Jesse P. Guzman, Miss. Oh, it's just hundreds of people
Wow.
had been involved in that particular movement,
Right.
and so they wanted to make things better economically.
Right. Right.
So an issue came up regarding the Big Bear supermarket.
Big Bear.
Big Bear
Big Bear.
supermarket, which was located where the utility board is
Right.
located
right,
now.
Right. I used to get that
Big
big
Bear
cough
store
syrup.
Right.
was there.
Right.
And there was an issue that came up where they were locking their people that were stocking the stores. They would lock them in at night because they didn't want them stealing and passing goods out at
Wow.
night while there was no management around.
Whoa.
So,
What?
yeah.
Wow.
So these guys, they complained.
Right.
And so they were talking to Dr. J.H.M. Henderson, who was then working at the Carver Research Foundation, Carver Research Foundation on campus. And Dr. Henderson was sympathetic to their cause, and he called together community leaders to talk about the problem.
Okay.
So we met at the Carver Foundation. And since I was president of the NAACP, and then you had sororities and fraternities, you had church leaders. There must have been about 15 people at that meeting that Dr. Henderson had called together. And so they decided that we wanted to address and correct the problem that existed at the Big Bear store. And they chose me as president of the NAACP to lead the charge.
Okay.
And that was natural because the NAACP was the major civil rights organization in the country.
Right.
Was then, is now, the leading civil rights organization.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And so we did attack the problem. We boycotted the Big Bear, and it was like 99% effective. And so after about 2 weeks of boycott, the management, the owners of the Big Bear store, which was Hudson Thompson Company, they came over to my office at Alexander and Company and said, "Okay, you win. You know, what do you wants to do it. So we said, well, we think first of all you need a black manager,
Right.
And so we think that a black manager would be more sensitive to our situation,
Right.
and so we want that, and we want you to trade with other businesses in Tuskegee to the extent that you can.
Man.
We want you to treat us fairly. We like the Big Bear.
Yeah.
We like the Big Bear. We want to continue to trade there, but you need to help us. And so I said, okay, we'll hire a black manager. You find us one, because we don't have one that's able to manage, that we think is able to manage
Right.
that store at this point in time. So we said, well, we think that ought to be pretty easy to do, because we got some very talented people here in Tuskegee.
That's right.
And there are plenty of people all around in Alabama that can manage that store.
That's right.
In other words, I was talking trash. At the time, I didn't really know what we were going to do. But
You had a good poker face.
yeah,
though, huh?
but I knew we had talent.
Yeah.
I knew we had talent.
Right.
So as it happened, I thought about Walter Bowers.
Walter Bowers. Shout out to him.
who had just gotten out of the Army, and he had training in management with Sears Roebuck Company.
Right.
And so we knew he could manage.
Right.
He hadn't managed a grocery store. But I got in touch with Walt, and I asked him if he could do that. He wasn't employed, at the time. He was just kind of looking. He wasn't in a big hurry to get employed. But he said, I think I could do that.
Okay.
And so we had him interviewed by Hudson Thompson. They hired him on the spot, and Walter Bowers then managed, I think, for about a year.
Okay.
And then he decided he really didn't care to be in that kind of business, and he decided he wanted to be a teacher.
Right.
So by that time, Hudson and Thompson had started training management, black people for management, in their various other stores.
Right.
And so they had a guy by the name of Glenn Holmes. Glenn Holmes came over here to manage the store after Walter Bowers. Now, some people might remember that Glenn Holmes owned the Yellow Store.
Right.
Everybody in Tuskegee know where the Yellow Store is.
Yeah. Home
Mr.
by
Holmes.
Home by
Holmes.
Home.
Yeah.
Home by right and all
Glenn.
that.
Ain't that's my
Yeah, yeah.
kinfolk.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it used to be it was the Yellow Store then.
Yeah.
We
Then
used
he had
to
that
call it the Yellow Store.
Yeah, he had H&J.
Well, the Yellow Store is
It was
still
East
there,
End,
but
yeah.
it's owned by Tarver now.
Okay, yeah.
But back then,
It was Holmes.
well, this before the Yellow Store. Somebody else owned it then. He managed the Big Bear for several years.
Okay.
Then following him, Greg Calhoun.
Greg Calhoun. Wow.
And see how things were. And Greg had stores in Montgomery.
Yeah.
Got hooked up with Albertsons nationally.
Right.
So, and all of that started right here in Tuskegee.
Iggy.
You know what you
Man.
do, if you do the right thing,
Mhm.
it bears fruit.
That's right. Bears fruit.
And so it has borne fruit, not just here in Tuskegee, but in other communities as well. But it started here in Tuskegee with that boycott back in, that must have been around 1967, 68.
Wow.
It takes time. It takes time,
Takes
takes
time.
patience, takes work, takes dedication.
Right.
But eventually your work will bear fruit. All right.
Wow.
So after that happened, we built such a branch of the NAACP here. We had 1,500 members. We had the biggest branch of the NAACP in the South, in the whole South.
Tuskegee? Or just
In
Alabama?
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee?
Our branch was bigger than Atlanta, bigger than
Wow.
Birmingham,
Whoa.
bigger than Memphis and Nashville. And it was because of what we did here and because the total community.
Pop it, baby.
Well,
Public.
I ain't do it by
That's
myself.
all. Wipe it down.
I
Wipe
gotta
it down.
Stop it 1 second. Did you see what he said?
Yeah.
Bigger than Atlanta.
Man, that's serious, man.
Yeah, it was big, man.
That's
It was
big,
It's
though.
serious
But,
stuff.
but it
That's why
wasn't.
I said
It
Tuskegee.
wasn't from what I did. It was from what all of us did.
Right.
And I'm happy to mention names of people that have died
Right.
and gone
Right,
on that made
right,
this happen.
right,
Right.
right.
Mr. George Rankin. And I know y'all haven't heard Mr. Rankin's name.
Nah, but we
Mr.
learned.
Rankin lived on Montgomery Road, and he was our membership chairman.
Okay.
Okay.
And so as we were boycotting and as we were doing these various things, getting jobs for black folks, management jobs for black
Management
folks,
jobs.
Mr. Rankin was selling membership. So
Wow.
because of his hard work, see, and no leader can do anything without support.
Right.
True.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
And the message in this is that we need to be better supporters.
Right.
We don't all have to be out front,
That's right.
but we need to support those people who are.
Right.
We need to help them and guide them in order to make everything better for everybody.
Wow.
So, at any rate, that's one era in my life. But Roy Wilkins, who was the executive director of the NAACP at the time, saw what we were doing, and he hired me to work on the national staff of the NAACP. And so I went into the training department of the YMCA to do leadership development throughout the South.
Wow.
And we did it from Tuskegee. My office was still in Tuskegee.
Okay.
We
Okay.
had an office, you all may know, it's a little red brick building behind the Tuskegee Institute post office.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where
Okay.
my office was.
Okay. Okay.
Along with Reverend K.L. Buford, who was the field director of the Alabama State Conference, or NAACP branch.
Okay. Okay.
He was the field director, and then I worked regionally
Okay.
from that office.
Wow.
Just as a side note, his stepson was Judge Myron Thompson.
Okay.
Y'all heard that name?
Yeah. Yep.
Sound
He's
familiar.
a native Tuskegean too.
Myron Thompson. Name sound
He's
familiar.
federal judge.
Oh yeah. 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 Okay. Okay.
Federal
Okay.
judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Myron Thompson. His mama was Lil Thompson Buford. She was Reverend Buford's wife.
Right.
Okay, but Myron's dad, his biological dad, his daddy, was a doctor at the VA hospital.
Wow.
But anyway, that's just another little side note. You know, people need to know these things.
Yeah, they need to
Because
know.
a lot of things
That's
have
right.
Tuskegee roots that you would never really know it
Right.
unless like
Or
I
being
lived
told.
all of this
Right.
and
That's right.
came through all of this, so I know these people
Right.
and interacted with them at
Right.
various stages in my life. At any rate, back to my life.
Okay.
I worked for the NAACP for about 2 years,
Okay.
traveling all over the country, trying to find and develop leadership.
Wow.
Step into leadership positions with the NAACP. Well, after about 2 years, I was tired of being away from my wife all the time. I was traveling all over the country. We didn't have any children yet. So I wanted to come home. And so I went back to Alexander and Company
Okay.
and stayed there for 3 years. Doing
Now,
that,
the one in
3 year
Birmingham or the one in Tuskegee?
one here in
Okay.
Tuskegee.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I never left Tuskegee. Once I came to Tuskegee, I never left
Never left.
Tuskegee.
Okay. Gotcha.
Although I really didn't think I would be here but for 6 months. And that's another story. Miss Adelaide Foster, who is the grandmother of Lionel Richie,
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
she came out of retirement to introduce me to Tuskegee.
Wow.
That was in 1967.
Wow.
She came out of retirement to introduce me to everybody.
Right.
She had worked at Alexander and Company previously
Wow.
because Lionel Richie Sr. had been the manager at Alexander.
Wow.
See?
Wow.
So she had been working around Alexander and Company, when Lionel Richie Sr. was down there.
Right.
Okay, so she came out of retirement to introduce me around in Tuskegee, and she did that. Meantime, while that was going on, Lionel Richie would come by to get $1 from his grandmama to buy his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Brenda Harvey was her name, her maiden name.
Oh,
He, come by and get some money, take his girlfriend to get lunch.
right.
So $1?
$1 get you lunch.
Oh yeah.
$1.
$1.
So what could $1 get you?
Oh man, you could go over to Reed's Chicken Cook and get you a 2-piece chicken and a drink for $1, probably less than $1.
Wow.
Now we're talking about 1960.
I mean, I get
Seven.
it.
Yeah.
I get it.
$1.
Yeah,
So inflation is rough,
Right,
man.
yeah.
I would have been balling back then.
What you talking about?
You had to spend pretty near $10 to get there now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what of course, Richie can afford the $10, right? Well, that's just another side story.
Right.
But yeah, so I went back to Alexander and Company and stayed there for 3 years, and I left and established Clay and Associates.
Okay, Clay and Associate.
And the year that I established Clay and Associates was 1973.
73.
The year that Adam Clay was born.
Gotcha. Big shouts out to Adam.
Okay.
Big shouts out to Adam.
So I started my business in 1973.
Okay.
So we've been around here more than 50 years in the insurance business.
Still active, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and shortly after that, 2 guys came in my office and asked me if I wanted to buy the radio station.
Uh-oh.
Let the people know the name of that wonderful
Radio
Well,
station.
somebody
It's a
just
radio station, y'all.
What's the name of that station?
Chris-
WBIL.
WBIL.
He
We
said,
believe in love.
We believe in love. That's
right.
what Chris Ford just put in
That's
the
right.
comments. We believe
We
in
believe
love.
in love.
But you know what? I'm not going to say I never, but I didn't remember that's what WBIL stood for.
Yeah,
We believe in
I
love.
just saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We believe in love. Yeah.
Right.
That's dope.
Well, anyway, these 2 guys, they're white guys,
Mhm.
from Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay.
Heard that name before?
Radio.
Well, that's another kind of longer story too.
Okay.
So I got to back up a little bit.
Okay.
While I was president of the NAACP, one of the things that we worked on was to get black announcers on the local radio station,
Wow.
which was then WABT AM.
WABT.
It was owned by I think it was owned by the Wilson family. And it was an AM station, and they played mostly middle of the road music.
Okay.
But on Sunday, they had gospel.
Okay.
And so they had the gospel programming even back on WABT.
Right.
And back then, a guy named Jay Nichols operated. He was like the station manager.
Okay.
And he operated that Sunday program and taught a fellow by the name of Costi McNair
Steve McNair. That's
Costi-
right.
how to operate
Costi J.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Costi McNair.
Shout out to Costi
Shout
McNair.
out.
Costi McNair was working at the station while it was still WABT.
Right.
All right. So anyway, these guys wanted to sell the station because we pressed them real hard to hire black announcers, and the first one they hired was Tom Joyner.
Tom Joyner. Oh, okay. The
You heard
legendary
that
Tom.
name?
Okay.
Tom Joyner.
Yeah, Tom Joyner.
From Tuskegee,
Alabama. That's right. Okay.
Tom Joyner grew
that's
up on Church Street.
Yeah.
if I
Okay.
recall. Then later, his people bought a house on Patterson Street.
Okay. Grab the street.
But Tom Joyner had worked shortly briefly at WRMA, which was an AM station in Montgomery.
Okay.
He was doing, I think, a Saturday show in Montgomery on WRMA. And for a short period of time, he had done that. So we got Holiday and Carson to hire Tom Joyner to work on WBIL.
Right.
And so he came over to WBIL for a period of time. And then when we bought the station, well, let's see. First of all, Holiday and Carson, a guy named Holiday and Carson. out of Meridian, Mississippi, bought the station from the Wilson family, and they put in the black format
Okay.
because the middle of the road format just was not working
Right.
in Tuskegee.
Right.
Obviously, you had a town that was 80% black
Mhm.
with an AM radio station,
Mhm.
program middle of the road.
Right.
All wrong. So Holiday and Carson put in the black format. They hired a guy by the name of Tracy Larkins
Tracy Locker. Yeah.
as the program
Tracy Locker. I know him.
director at the newly established WBIL AM radio station. Well, they thought too it was wise to go on and sell the station. They had that temporary relief because they had done the right thing, but they thought it was a good idea to go on and sell it.
Right.
So I had led the struggle to get them to hire black folks,
Okay.
and so they knew me. But when they went back home, there was a guy named Lee Arthur Rhodes that worked for them at their stations in Meridian, and they were telling Lee Arthur about what had happened in Tuskegee, and Lee Arthur said, George Clay said, he said, he's George Frank Sims' nephew.
Okay.
And Naomi Ruth, he knew my whole family. He grew up
Right.
with my
Right.
uncle.
Right. Right.
But he worked at the radio station that Holiday and Carson owned in Meridian. So he said, if you're going to sell the station, sell it to George.
Okay.
I said, okay. So they came and said, okay, you want to buy this radio station? I said, man, I can't buy a radio station. I just started my insurance. I'm trying to get that going.
Right.
And so I said, I can't really do that. They said, oh, we can fix a way you can do it.
Right.
So I said, how you going to do that? So they told me how they were going to do it. They did it. They set up the financing for me.
Wow.
And said, we'll teach you radio. And so Jay Nichols stayed with me. Jay Nichols taught me radio, and Holiday and Carson taught me radio management and finance. And so off we went. And so that's the beginning of WBIL.
BIL.
In 1978, that was in 75.
Okay.
In 1978, a guy named William Gordon, who was a professor, a physics professor at Tuskegee University, put together an FM radio station.
Wow.
And got a license. But he didn't know anything about business.
Right.
He didn't know anything about selling and advertising.
Right.
But he knew how to put the station together.
Wow.
So he put the station together. The sound was great.
Right.
But nobody really had, very few people had FM radios at that point.
Right.
There were no FM radios in cars at that point.
Wow.
So everybody had AM radios riding around with
right.
them, and very few people had FM.
Yeah.
But the sound was great. And so you just knew that eventually FM was going to take over.
Take over. That's right.
And so, but at any rate, Gordon, he was ahead of himself in what he did and didn't know much about business. Just he knew the physics of it. Right. And so we were able to gobble up all the advertising around that was available because I'm a salesman. Right. I hired a guy to manage the station named Carson. Harold Carson. Harold Carson. Some of you may know Rufus Carson, who was the mayor out in Franklin for a while.
Right.
Harold was his brother. At any rate, Harold managed for a while and went on about his business later. But that was the beginning. That's how we got the FM station. Once Gordon got into financial trouble, we were able to buy the radio station.
So, quick question, and
Sure.
this may be: does FM and AM stand for something, or is it
Alternating frequency, and FM was I forgot now, but it deals with frequency.
frequencies? Okay.
AM signals bounce. FM signals come out solid like a blob.
Okay.
And so that was one of the secrets of WBIL AM. Our signals bounced, but they bounced all the way to Pensacola.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wattage.
It
wattage.
was at 580
Right.
on the dial, on the low end, on the low frequency, and the low frequencies go further.
Right.
And that was unusual because most black radio stations were in the 1400s
Right.
on
right.
the dial.
Right.
You remember that,
Right.
huh?
Right. Right.
Oh, if you go to a new town and you wanted to find a black radio station,
That's right.
you had to go to 1400,
Right.
1500.
That's right.
But WBIL was different in that it was
Down at
at
the bottom.
580.
580.
And so it had tremendous coverage.
Gotcha. Live wattage.
So, gosh, I mean, this story is long and involved.
Yeah, but listen, I'm
But,
entertained.
We entertained
life is long. I told you, 82 years. Man. Y'all better slow me up, man, because I got about 50 more years to tell y'all. So anyway, we got the radio going,
Okay.
and the radio was good. We had one of the best radio stations in this country.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. WBIL was it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that there was a young lady by the name of Patty Jones Grace,
Patty Jones Grace.
whose parents were here in Tuskegee. She grew up in Tuskegee, Patty did. And her parents were Douglas Jones and Wilhelmina Jones.
Okay. Yeah.
They
Okay.
live on Howard Road, or they lived.
Yeah.
They're past now.
Okay.
They lived on Howard Road.
Okay.
Very active in local civic affairs.
Right. Right.
Patty was working at the National Association of Broadcasters in
Wow.
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And so she knew that the black broadcasters across this country had no way to communicate with one another, and that if we could get together, we could do more
Right.
for all black people.
Right.
And so she brought us together. She talked to NAB, National Association of Broadcasters,
Okay.
into letting us come to the NAB and have a meeting of all of the black-owned radio stations in this country.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I went to the meetings. I knew Patty.
Right. Right.
I knew Patty, and and so we came together.
Okay.
With Peppy Sutton from New York, and and various football players that had bought radio stations.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember this guy. I'm old now. I don't remember names like I used to. But the guy owned radio stations that had been a football player, and he had also had a Budweiser beer distributor.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there were 30. Before we bought our station, there were 34 black-owned radio stations in this country.
34. Only
34. Before we bought WBIL.
Okay. Okay.
So we were the 35th black-owned radio
Wow.
station in the country. So anyway, Patty Jones brought us together at the NAB. We formed the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters. Wow. NABOB. You probably have heard that if you've been around broadcasting. You probably have heard of NABOB. Well, that's the Black Broadcasters. And the organization still exists. Of course, once we sold the radio hour stations, we got out of the organization. But the organization still exists.
No.
I know I went to one meeting, and it was in New York. And I was standing outside it was in Washington. It was in Washington at the Mayflower Hotel. I was standing outside taking a break. I smoked back then. I went out for a smoke break. And I was out in the lobby, and up walks Jane Brown.
Ooh. Okay.
And he was kind of looking, and he looked in the door, looked at me. He said, "Hey, man," hey, what's going on? I said, "This is the Black Broadcasters." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You're supposed to be in there." I said, "I know you own that station over in Augusta."
Right.
He said, "Yeah." He said, "Man," but those big timers in there. I said, "You the biggest big time." You the biggest big time. What you talking about, man? He said, "Well," he said, "I never been around folks like they black millionaires, man." He said, "I never been around 'em." I said, "Oh man," I said, "They be so happy to see you, they won't know what to do." I said, "Come on, I walk in here with you." I said, "Let's go in here." So I strutted in there with James Brown. And so everybody, I was popping, look at James Brown. So he came on in, and when we sat down, he participated in what was going on. So that was just fun and a memory.
Right.
But it's interesting though, and I met a lot of celebrities in my life. A lot of times, people rise up and get famous, and they kind of get ahead of their social
Right.
skills.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And all they got to do is just kind of relax.
That's right.
Melt into it. But they need somebody to, kind of.
I'm gonna just listening to you talk. I'm gonna tell you something. I spoke on this yesterday that I want to see us get back to. I don't know if we can, but if you just go back in the day, man, blacks as a whole, we stuck together.
Right.
Now we just so if you got this going on and I ain't got it going on, I'm kind of mad or I'm hating or I'm talking about. It just amazes me where we got like. Well, I'm not gonna say it amazing, but I wonder how we got lost in not sticking together.
Right.
Just like you said, all the blacks got together, all the black radio stations got together, and you knew if y'all got together, we could help each other. If you down over here, we don't do that no more.
Right.
And it just, I'm not understanding where we went wrong. Like, how did that get thrown out of the equation? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can speak on that or not.
Oh, absolutely.
I just when you talk to older people, even when you look, I brought up Harriet Tubman, the OG. That's what I call her.
The OG.
Yeah.
Nobody was left behind. She coming to get you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, oh, he ain't with it. Oh, I'm sorry, you left behind.
Right.
Where did we go wrong? Or where do you think we went wrong?
I think that the worst things were the closer we came together.
Okay.
When we got to a point that we didn't feel like we had anything to fear or less to fear than we did in the past, we started thinking, some of us started thinking, well, I'm just like white folks. I can do this or do that.
Wow.
We no longer supported black business.
Right.
We no longer supported black doctors.
Right.
We by virtue of the fact that we got some economic strength,
Right.
we were able to go beyond the black community.
Gotcha.
Make a lot of sense.
And so when that happened, then you had some jealousy
Right.
that existed with the brothers that still stuck over here
Right.
in the ghetto.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then those that went outside, some look back and say, well, I'm glad I'm over here. I still love my brothers over there, but I'm glad to be over here.
Right.
And it caused division.
Right.
Big division.
It caused divisions. Okay? But what I found is that no matter how high you go, and I've been up there, fellas, still black.
That's right. Still black.
Still black. Now, that does not mean that you have to be antagonistic. It does not mean that you think any less or more of yourself because of that.
Right.
It's just as a fact. You're still black.
Fact.
Right.
And because you are, some people are going to look at you and think of you as being inferior.
Right.
And then some black folks are going to look at you and say, oh, well, I'm glad he made it, but I'm just as good whether they are or not. And so, you just get all these divisions.
Right.
And so it looks like now we're coming into a place where we're finna get set back. And in fact, the court decisions this week showed that we're being pushed back.
Wow.
And so if we aren't real careful, we're gonna be back where we were.
Wow.
We losing ground,
Losing ground.
and
Right.
and I can see it. I can feel it, cause I've been there before.
That's right.
I know what it feels like.
Right. Right.
And so, if we don't embrace democracy and embrace, you know, the right to vote, if we don't work together,
Right.
together. When I say together, I don't mean just black folks. I mean people of like minds,
Right. Like mine.
people of like minds, of all races, of all economic conditions. We have got to work together to fight off that which is evil, because evil is upon us.
Right.
It is. Wow. Ooh-wee.
Ooh.
You broke it all the way down.
Take me a sip of water on that one.
Hey, girl, give me some.
Okay, I can drink some water.
Yeah, take a sip. We got to let that process. Yeah, you know, people need to let that sink in and come back and rewind and
Right.
watch it again. 'Cause that's deep.
We know a young man like you, Honorable George Clay, and we want to know who inspired you to be able to do some of the things that you do, because you don't been through a lot of different things, channels, and you've been the head of this, and you've been the head of that. You've been creating business and been creating to leadership roles for other folks. Who inspired you?
Well, people like Go Million,
Amelia? Okay.
Go Million, W.P. Mitchell, and K.L. Buford, they tutored me
Oh
in
man.
terms of civil rights.
Okay.
My family taught me business.
Okay.
I mean, I learned business around the breakfast table.
Okay.
My great grandfather, as I said, was a businessman.
Okay.
So I come from a business family.
Right.
I've never felt of myself as being inferior to anyone, but I've never felt myself superior to anyone either.
Right. Right.
You know, pretty is as pretty does. You know, you are what you do. You know, no matter what you might be thinking, what you do is what counts. That's what speaks to the world. But you know, who is no, particular individuals? Um, I don't know. I've met so many great people. Uh, it'd be hard to say. Other than Go Million, I can say that. I can say Go Million and W.P. Mitchell and people like that, that took the chances, that that when it was dangerous.
Mhm.
Otis Pinkert. Did y'all know Otis Pinkert?
No.
Pinkert.
Yeah,
Man, he
Otis
was-
Pinkert.
He's what's it, mayor down at Franklin Road. He's the mayor.
No, he lived. He lived on Main Street. Really, if you could go outside of town, keep going. You know, out of Main, past the Yellow Store and on out.
Oh, what your name? Pinkert.
No, Otis
Trailer Park?
Pinkert was on the county commission.
Okay.
But before he was on the county commission, when I was president of the NAACP, he managed the picket lines.
Oh man. Okay.
Everything that happened, and he was here fighting before I got here. Otis was not afraid of anything. He was a soldier. He was in World War II. He was a soldier in World War II. Had been in combat. He didn't fear anything. And so maybe I have to say that Otis probably was a role model for me.
Wow.
Because I had been in the army, and so when you're in the army, you don't think. I mean, you think you're invincible. When they get through brainwashing you, you think you can do anything. You can't do anything, but you think you can.
Right.
So, but Otis was, and that's a name we need to remember.
Otis Pink.
Otis Pink. He was later elected to the county commission, so he served 2 or 3 terms on the Macon County Commission.
Phaedra Pink.
Phaedra Pinker, yeah, Phaedra.
I heard that. Yeah. Okay. Collar Pinker.
My dad.
Collar Pinker too. Okay. Same
That's
family.
Phaedra's
Collar Pinker.
his daughter.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Eon Ian was he was McFadden. Ian McFadden. He was Otis's stepson.
Okay.
They were members of Washington Chapel Church too, by the way.
And when you say Mr. Chameleon, is that the same one they named the building after downtown? That's the same Chameleon guy?
Yes,
The same one?
C.G. Gomillion.
Yes, he's still Chameleon. Okay.
Gomillion was a political science professor at Tuskegee University,
Wow.
and he was the brain behind. You've heard of Gomillion versus Light.
Right.
Also,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
well, that's the Gomillion
That's the
I'm
Chameleon.
talking about.
That's right. That's right.
That law, that's the voting rights lawsuit
Right.
that was used all over this country to bring about voting, regarding gerrymandering. I know you all have probably heard that here in Tuskegee, what people who were in the white power structure at the time, did an apportionment, drew voting lines in Tuskegee to exclude black folk from city elections.
Wow.
There were only 2 or 3 black people left in the city.
Right.
Everybody else they had excluded. So Dr. Gomillion and others brought a lawsuit against the city of Tuskegee, and Lightfoot was the mayor
Yeah, like
at the time. So that's where the name comes from. Gomillion
versus Lightfoot.
And that lawsuit was the case that allowed us to do away with gerrymandering.
Wow.
And of course, that same tool, that idea of drawing districts in ways that benefit you politically, is what has happened to the United States Congress. The states have drawn lines, all of the states have drawn lines to create strong Republican districts. And so that's how they dominate the Congress of the United States at this point, because of gerrymandering. Gomillion fought it back in the 50s and 60s, and here we are again, having to deal with it again.
Right.
You know, history repeats; it runs in cycles, and they do the same things over and over again. And what I'm concerned about now is that Hitler did exactly the way one of our political candidates for president is doing right now. Right now.
When you was
the same things, and we headed that way.
When you was coming up, when it was really really bad in voting, did you have any bad experience during the voting process at any time? Bad experience?
No, because I voted in my neighborhood in Birmingham, and I voted here in Tuskegee, so I didn't have any problem voting. But I worked with people all across the country that had problems.
Okay. What is one of the most serious problems that you have seen that somebody had, like for us, like them being able to vote? Like they threw like a monkey wrench in it where they couldn't vote.
Oh, they used to kill people for trying to register.
They'll kill you for trying to register to vote?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you went to register, they would just come to your house at night. The Klan would come to your house at night and lynch you.
Wow.
In this area? And
there were more documented lynchings in Macon County than any other county in this country.
Wow.
Now, I say documented.
Documented.
Because of Tuskegee Institute there.
Right.
They were documented.
Right. Yeah. Keeping up with it.
Now, in a lot of places, they didn't document, but it was happening all the time.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, our young people now think that it's bad the way that they're treated by police.
Right.
Man, they weren't only treated bad by police before, in my generation and earlier. They were done that way by just average, ordinary Klansmen on the street.
Wow.
people were lynched, or they would just disappear.
Wow.
And see, this your generation. You haven't seen that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's
You might have heard of it. Maybe I think they lynched a guy in Mobile a while back, and it's been advertised recently on some advertised figures that's running for Congress. Mentioned that his father bankrupted the Klan. Have y'all seen those spots on TV? Well, he's running those spots.
wow.
And he says that his father, who Mike Figures, who I served with in the Senate of the state of Alabama, brought a lawsuit against the Klan for lynching this black guy in Mobile. And it must have been in the 80s, 1980s, or early 1990s that happened. And Mike got so much money out of him, he drove him into bankruptcy. And
Wow.
and so that kind of slowed them down. But now they just changed the name and and raised some more money, and they're coming at you another way.
Right.
So
Wow.
so there's just hatred never dies.
Never died.
It takes different forms.
Right.
I don't think I could have made. Well, I guess if I'm coming up, but like if converted back,
Right.
bruh. I don't
You
know.
know. I often said that, Willie, that I couldn't have did that back in the day. But
Because-
sometimes if I want to live, I feel that I
Well,
could have done it.
Well, the
You know what I
thing,
mean?
the
Well, not only
reason, the
you, but
reason
your
that we
family.
say,
Right. That's right. That's
but
right.
the reason we say we couldn't have done it because we've experienced
This. That's absolutely.
You know what
absolutely.
I'm saying? That's why I had to change
Right,
and say if
right.
converted back
Right.
because think about it. Growing up, that's all they knew.
That's all they knew.
They just had to adjust. But
Right.
we done seen
Right. Right.
See,
it'll be
good
hard
times.
for them to say, hey, boy.
Yeah. Nowadays.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and let me say that we live in Macon County,
Right.
where you got a black sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
you got a black police chief, you got a black mayor, you got a black
Paradise.
county commissioner, you got black legislators.
Right.
Well, what if you lived in
Coleman.
anywhere in rural Alabama? It's different.
Different. It's different.
People in Tuskegee, just the young people that grow up here, they just don't know.
Mhm.
And so sometimes they make a bad mistake when they go outside of here.
Right.
Going up to
Start trying
Coleman.
to act like they in Tuskegee.
Right.
Going up the road to
I
Coleman.
think a lot of time they forgets. You know what I mean? Because you conscious and you leave Tuskegee, and when you driving anywhere else, I know when we was coming up, in the 90s, we leave out of here, music turned down,
Yeah.
2 hands on the steering
No
wheel.
hat on.
That's right. No hat on, no bag.
Seat
Ain't
belt
nobody
on.
in the back seat. Look, no three-way driving. You know what I mean? None of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you got dark tinted windows, you turn them all the way down, so
Yeah.
you won't get stopped. So it was a lot of that. We obeyed. We obeyed when we left Tuskegee, because when we get home, we at home.
We at home.
Well,
we at
my
home.
generation, whether you
We don't
obey
run no
it or
more.
not, whether you obey it or not.
They still
Wow, still
I grew up on Dynamite Hill in Birmingham.
Dynamite Hill.
You know,
Dynamite Hill. That sounds
me
good.
and Angela Davis and
Angela Davis, okay.
and Hank Sanders' wife.
Wow.
What's her name? Rose
Rose
Sanders.
Sanders. Okay.
She changed her name now.
Okay.
It's something else now. But Rose Sanders lived across the street from me, and Angela Davis lived 2 blocks from me. And Angela and I were in the same high school class
Okay.
at Howard. I'm sorry, at Parker.
Parker. Okay.
Parker High School. So we grew up in a neighborhood where we were getting bombings. Arthur Shores lived between where Angela lived and where I lived. And they would bomb Attorney Arthur Shores' house. He
Wow.
got bombed by 3 times.
Wow.
He was the civil rights lawyer in Birmingham.
Right.
And so they would bomb his house.
Wow.
And then they bombed other houses because we integrated the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
So we were getting bombings around there all the time.
What is it? So
Oh, yeah, they bombed the church. Well, yeah, 16th Avenue. A lot of people went to 16th Avenue. But they bombed the Congregational Church, which was in my neighborhood,
Wow.
2 blocks from me. In fact, they were right across the street from Arthur Shores.
Right.
So, just bombings were all around me
Man,
Is it a
growing up.
is it a story? We had Coach Patchett on last week.
last Monday.
Yeah, and I didn't bring it up, but just I talked to Coach Patchett all the time, but he told me as a child growing up in Tuskegee, he had a story where he was outside playing as a kid.
Mhm.
White guy pulls up, "Hey boy, you want some of this candy?" And he said he thought, "I need to take this candy from this white guy." So he said he took the candy and he went and buried the candy in the ground. And he said his mind made him think he needs to take this candy because if he say no, he might ride down to the street, ride down the street and give it to another kid that's not thinking like him.
Yeah,
That this
right.
candy is
Right.
poison,
Right,
Yeah.
and it poison his whole family.
right. Gotcha.
So I was like, to think that that young, he's thinking like that.
Right,
So
right.
Right.
is it any story that you have that you may have encountered something that was? I remember my mom. Just another little quick story. I think she was in D.C. She had graduated from here. She went to D.C. to start working. So a white guy just walked up to her and just punched her in the face.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I said, did you know? I'm talking about it. When she telling me this, I'm getting mad. I'm trying.
right.
What's his name?
Right, yeah,
Is,
yeah.
is he still alive?
Right.
But just walked up and just punched him in the face. So, is there any stories that you have?
Like that.
Yeah.
That may have just made a spotlight. Or put something in your mind and make you be like, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, back when I was a kid, like I said, my folks had a funeral home. It was
Right.
located in downtown Meridian.
Yes.
And there was a movie theater, a black movie theater, and then there was a white movie theater. You could go upstairs in the white theater, but the black theater,
They're downstairs.
had free access.
Right.
At any rate, we would go to the black theater and then walk home. Because by the time you get out of the theater, all the folks at the funeral home were gone home.
Right, right.
Work day was over. So what I would do sometimes was catch a bus. So one day I went to the movie, and I went to the bus stop, and I was standing there at the bus stop by myself, and then a white lady came and was standing, maybe 5 feet from me at the bus stop,
Mhm.
and the bus pulled up, and he didn't stop in time to stop in front of the white lady. He came down in front of me.
Wow.
And so I just stepped on the bus.
Right, right.
Well, I was probably about 10 or 11
Okay.
years old, and the bus driver, big burly white guy, cursed me out. He cursed at me, and said, get your so-and-so off this bus. You don't get on a bus in front of, white lady.
Right, right.
So I got off the bus, let the white lady get on, then I got on the bus and went on to the back because they had these signs that, you had to sit behind the sign.
Right. Sit behind the sign. Colored.
I was colored,
Right.
so I had to sit behind the sign. And, of course, the lady went on. Lady didn't care,
Right.
but it scared the hell out of me. I mean, I'm a little boy out there by myself.
Yeah, and you ain't thinking you did nothing wrong.
Right.
Right, right.
But see, that guy is the reason I work for the NAACP.
Right.
He's the
He's the
reason
reason.
that I went across this country in places like down in Mississippi, in backwoods of Mississippi, organizing NAACP branches.
Wow.
Not in front of cameras and all that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
Marches and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
No, I went down there by myself
By yourself.
in the rural areas, telling people how to conduct boycotts, teaching them parliamentary procedure
Right.
and leadership, trying to teach them how to lead their community
Wow.
by myself.
By yourself. That's strong.
So was the boycott for Big Bear? Was that your first boycott? Or
Oh,
you
yeah.
that was your first one.
Yeah, I hadn't. I really had not planned to get into civil rights.
Right.
Frank Wright and Mr. James A. Johnson got me into that. and Go Million and
Yeah,
Mitchell
yeah,
and those
yeah.
guys took it from there.
Right.
So that but I was ripe for it because I had been frightened by this white bus driver when I was a kid,
Wow. That's strong.
and there were
Wow.
probably other incidents
Right.
as well. I mean, being stopped by cops when you hadn't done anything wrong,
Right.
and being scared as the devil. You don't know what's going to happen
Don't know.
because they could do anything they wanted
That's
to do,
right. That's
and
right.
they were not going to be punished for
That's
it.
right.
But it just so happens my family was a prominent family
Okay.
in Meridian.
Okay.
Everybody in Meridian knew my folks.
That's right.
And so they see me driving one of the funeral home cars, and they'd ask me about my Uncle George Frank. I said, it's my uncle. And so they left me alone. So go on home.
Yeah. Wow.
But what if he hadn't been my uncle?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So anyway,
Okay. You got some people that called in.
But nah, God just said, Janice Robinson, good podcast. George H. Clay is a legend. Don Smith, smart idea to consult the minds of the older Tuskegee
Right.
County
Right.
citizens like Clay and others who can document the history. Hope you are archiving your shows for others to reference in years to come. You are conserving and preserving our history. No small feat. He said Clay's words regarding the necessity of like-minded people voting against evil are important
Speaking of
and
Mike.
insightful.
Yeah.
Hope they will cause folks to get out and vote. Great podcast.
hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. We need that
Yeah, man.
80, 90%. We need 100% to be really, really
And
great.
then if you hearing people are dying
Yeah, dying.
or
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the
man.
thing, man. I
That's-
think we take it lightly. That I was talking to Mike Hammond today. Just I was talking to him today, and I was just telling him how we don't, for some reason, we don't think voting is serious. It's like, oh dang, it don't matter. But imagine if I look at it as imagine me doing something or taking this abuse for my child, right? I done took all this just for my child to be better or to have a good life,
right.
and or whatever she's trying to do.
Mhm.
And then when it comes time for her to do it, she like, oh man, I ain't standing.
Right, right.
That's how I look at it for our
I do too.
ancestors.
I do.
You
I
know
do
what I'm
too.
saying?
I
Like
look at it the same
sometimes
way.
when I go vote, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know who
Who to vote
running
for.
or what, but I know
Yeah.
I need to go in there
I
and vote
need to go.
because people went through a
That's right.
lot
That's right.
for me to have this right.
That's right.
And I used to take it for granted. I ain't, I'm not gonna say I took it for granted, but it just wasn't a necessity.
Right,
for me.
right.
So I get out and vote, people.
Yeah. Get out and
Let me
vote.
share this with you. Let me
Okay.
share this with you.
Okay.
It came to my mind. Talking about voting
Right.
and people who died
Right.
in Maria, Mississippi. I told you we own the funeral. My family owns the funeral home there,
Right.
and back in the must have been in the 50s, they did some renovation. They moved from downtown to a new location
Okay.
out in the community. And there was a guy by the name of Cheney. Mr. Cheney I can't remember now if he was a plasterer. He was either a plasterer or a painter. I can't remember.
Okay.
But he had a son named James Cheney. And he was about my age. And so while his daddy was working on the funeral home, James Cheney and I, along with his little brother, he had a younger brother, we would toss the football around and we'd play and do
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right.
James Cheney was killed and was put under what they call under a bayou, I guess they call it, along with two Jewish boys. Cheney and two Jewish boys. Have you all heard that story? Man, y'all need to check some stuff out.
Right.
Cheney, who I used to play football with,
Right.
college football with, was killed because he worked with a civil rights organization in Meridian, Mississippi, and was killed. And they buried his body under. It was kind of like a dam or something.
Wow.
They had a hard time finding his body.
Wow.
But I knew that boy. I grew up with that boy,
Wow.
and they killed him. But if you watch stories about the civil rights movement and people who have been killed, it would always mention Cheney.
Cheney. I remember that.
And mainly because it was two Jewish boys that got killed at the same time. They killed all three of them.
Was this in Mississippi?
Yeah.
It was something like
Was that
almost like
that's
Mississippi Burning.
Burning? Was that
Is it
did
that
around the
Mississippi
May
Burning
have-
was
Mississippi
something like
may have
that?
been the story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
I
I
think it
remember
might
one of
have
those
been
stories.
some.
Need to
Yeah, they
check it
came
out.
down here and they was doing. Yeah,
Need to
Yeah.
check it
yeah,
out.
yeah,
See, I grew.
yeah.
You know, my generation was a generation that came up through all that.
Right,
Stokely Carmichael was my classmate at Howard.
right.
So, you know, he did his thing. While we were at Howard, he was coming down here to Lowndes County
Hmm.
and forming the Black Panther
Right.
Party.
Yep. One of the ones that
Yeah,
walk
we
with
shooting
the
pool
blue
in
feet.
the dormitory at Howard.
Wow.
So, and Bill Winston too, that owns.
Yeah, Bill
supermarket
Winston.
down-
Yeah.
Bill Winston did his freshman year at Howard.
right,
He was-
right.
he was- I
He
was
from
a- I
Tuskegee
was
though,
a
right?
Sophomore.
Is he
Huh?
from Tuskegee?
Yeah,
he's from
he
Tuskegee.
grew up right around the corner from where Joyner grew up.
Right, absolutely.
Right
Okay.
off of Patterson Street.
Right.
You go past Tom Joyner's house, it's a little street, turn left,
Mm-hmm.
go down in there. He and his mother and his sister live down there. That's where he grew up.
Okay. Great. Wow.
Any I'm gonna switch it towards Tuskegee a little bit.
Okay, good.
Any advice if someone came to you, and again, you know, this is a positive platform for
Absolutely.
Tuskegee. We don't try to point the finger at the wrongs. We all know it's some wrongs. We get that. So now we more so on let's get some solutions going.
That's right. That's right.
If anyone would come to you and say, you know, Mr. Clay, you've been here for years.
Right.
You've seen the good, the bad.
Right.
What advice would you give to getting headed? I mean, we know, like you said, it's time, it's patience.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to maybe get us back on the road to start heading down the right path?
Okay. We believe in love.
We believe in love. WBIL.
If we can find a way to love one another and stop being so critical of one another and come together and communicate with one another and try to support our economy, try to support our schools, and rebuild what was once a great civilization
Right.
here in Tuskegee, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
We lost it because we let ourselves get divided.
Right.
So we got to come back together and work together. You know, when I came here, you really had two towns in the same geographical area. You had Tuskegee Institute, Alabama, and then you had Tuskegee.
Right.
Tuskegee was dominated totally by the white community and the business community. The white community was the business community and was in total political control. Tuskegee Institute, Alabama, was Booker T. Washington's community
Right.
and had the greatest culture of any place in the world.
Wow.
Everybody, all black entertainers and people, great thinkers like Paul Lawrence Dunbar, wanted to come to Tuskegee.
Right. Wow.
The Tuskegee Airmen were here,
Right.
and that attracted a lot of people.
Bobby Davis said in his interview here, what was it, Buddha?
He
White
said-
people die and want to go to heaven.
Heaven.
Black people die and want to come to Tuskegee.
Tuskegee.
I've
No,
heard
no,
that
He got
before.
that quote from the president of Tuskegee. Yeah.
That's got a lot of truth in that. That's a lot of truth in that.
But that just lets you know how strong Tuskegee was, man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I remember when I went on my first job after college, Cook Electric Company in Chicago.
Mhm.
Girl that worked in the same group that I worked in said, "Hey, what school did you go to?" I said, I went to Howard. She said, I never heard. She said, I thought you went to Tuskegee. No, I went to Howard.
Yeah.
But she knew about
She
Tuskegee.
knew
Now,
about
this is a Jewish
Tuskegee,
girl,
man.
and really in Skokie, Illinois. Hadn't been in the south of the city limits of Chicago, but she knew about Tuskegee.
Wow.
We got to
That's
get
heavy,
back.
man.
We got to get
back.
it back, man.
Tuskegee, we got to get this thing
Well,
back.
we got to get it back together, see,
Yep.
because we can be a great society again.
Right.
Everything is here
Everything here.
and more. Yeah, but we've got to get the right
Gotta
mindset.
get that morale back.
That mentality.
As
Yeah.
Booty Rest say, we got to reboot.
Yeah, we got to
Reboot.
believe in
Yeah,
love, and we
reboot.
got to love one another.
Right.
We got to find ways to love ourselves.
Right. Love yourself first. That's right.
Yeah.
We got to get back to that, man. It's we got to get back. And people that's tuning in right now that's from Tuskegee, man, y'all get this podcast, man, and y'all listen very carefully what's going on right now. Cause this is something behind all of this. It's bigger than us. You know what I mean? This right here, this podcast that we got going on is really, really big. You know, I hope it can get to some of the people that listen in, that's tuning in right now. This is some serious business, man. We got to get our thing together, man. We got to get it together. Come together and get it together, man. That's what we got to do. We got to do that. We got to do it.
We can.
And I want to ask you this question right here. The Honorable George Clay. What do you want people to remember you as, or how you want people to remember you?
Oh man. As a Christian, as husband and father, as a man that worked hard and was versatile enough to find success in insurance, in broadcasting, and politics. That is how I would like to be remembered.
And out of all those things that you've done, politics, insurance, what was the thing you loved the most? Which one? What you have to say?
Well, if we're just looking at other than family life, we're looking at my professional life. I would say, there's more glory in politics. But what has sustained me has been insurance. And I think I would use this opportunity to tell people, you can't do anything without insurance.
Right.
You cannot.
Nothing. You're right.
You can't build a community without insurance. You
Absolutely.
can't do it.
That's right.
'Cause nobody's gonna lend you any money unless their investment in you is protected.
There you go.
So, for 50 years, everybody kind of takes it for granted. But a lot of houses are burned down, and I walked in with a check, and the people can put that house back.
Right. Right.
That's amazing.
A lot of accidents have occurred, and people's bodies have been torn up. And I walk in with a check that pays the doctor bill.
Right.
Now, that's pretty basic.
That's right.
Now, radio was great. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
And it had great political impact in the community, too, by the way. Because we then had a way to communicate.
Right.
So the greatest thing about that is that we didn't have a way to communicate with one another in a mass way until we got WBIL radio and put news and information on the radio. So in order to hear the music you wanted to hear, we gave you information.
Right.
The reason you don't have information, the reason you haven't heard these things I'm talking about is because we sold the station in 1995. But we started really running the station, probably around the beginning of the 1990s. Okay. So you lost that touch.
That's right.
That we put in it. But we made you have to hear it.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got it whether you wanted it or not.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna be playing it.
So I mean, there's so many things that I've been involved in, and then in terms of politics, we haven't even mentioned that.
Right.
My service in the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Mhm.
I reshaped government in Macon County.
Wow.
I changed the county commission. I restructured
Wow.
the whole county commission.
Wow.
We built the Thomas Reed Center down there, the county jail.
Okay.
People don't talk about that.
That's at the time you was in office.
Yeah, my legislation.
Your legislation. Okay.
We did so many,
Wow.
and all of this stuff is a great joy,
Right.
to me. But people don't know it. They don't think about it,
Right.
and they take it for granted. But we've done a lot of things, and I could not have done that if I didn't feel like my hand was in the hand of the man.
Man, that's right. That's right. Okay.
I wrote a book. I have a book. The title of the book is Open Doors,
Open doors. Okay.
and it's available through Amazon.
Amazon. Open doors.
About my life story and the things that we've talked about here today.
Wow. Okay.
And the idea behind the book is that God opens doors. He opens doors for you. He opens doors for you.
Absolutely.
He opens doors for everyone, and you have to have enough courage and faith in God, courage and belief in yourself to walk through the door.
I got
You got to have it.
Got to.
And if we don't do that, and we need to do that as a community, because everything is here that we need.
Everything. You're right. That's right.
I could talk forever. We had David Brunner, that is over the retirement system of Alabama. David Brunner. Y'all know who David Brunner is? David Brunner is the most important figure in the economic development of the state of Alabama.
Wow. Wow.
He runs the retirement system of Alabama. You know all those buildings with green tops over in Montgomery?
you.
Right. Right.
Those are RSA buildings.
All right. Yeah.
Retirement system of Alabama.
Yeah.
The first thing he did when he took over that is that all of these buildings, all the state buildings were owned by the Aronoff family and other families around Montgomery.
Mhm.
He built the buildings for the state and then let the state pay rent.
Wow.
So that bolstered the retirement system, made teachers have more secure money.
Mhm.
And then he built the Robert Trent Jones Golf Course with hotels.
Wow.
And anyway, and that's just a few things that
Right.
he's done.
Right. Right.
But I say that to see you don't know his name, but he's more important than any of these governors. He did a whole lot more than these governors or anybody else.
Yeah,
that's
right,
been
right,
elected.
right.
Yeah.
You don't even know him.
Don't even know him. Don't even know him.
I'm-
Yeah, that's
hey,
strong.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
We don't know him, but we
Well,
know him
we
now. We
do
know him
now.
now.
We know him now.
You do now.
We do now. That's right. We do now.
So I know you. Let me ask this one question, but while we're on this topic, I heard you say the sheriff department, the Thomas Reed building, and this is kind of a touchy situation for me. I'm gonna try not to tear up on it, but I feel if God, whatever God have in store, that's what's gonna happen. But as humans, we kind of say, oh, if we had a hospital here, my daddy wouldn't have passed. That's kind of one of the things a lot of people talk on in Tuskegee. We know we need a hospital, but I understand, which I hope other people understand, that it's not just somebody get in office and snap your finger and, hey,
Right.
you go over there and build a hospital. Do you ever think Tuskegee will get to that point where we will? Because it is kind of like a retirement place. A lot of older people here.
Right.
I know we have I like to call them urgent clinic. I don't even, the one that's across from the old police station. Isn't that like a little urgent clinic or something? But I don't
Right,
know.
right.
Yeah, that's basically for Medicaid.
Right, okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
The
we
Thomas
really
Reed
don't
Clinic-
have nothing
the
here.
Thomas Reed Clinic, we built that according to hospital standards.
Okay.
Okay.
And it can become a hospital by simply adding a place for beds.
Oh, the bed.
That's why we did it that way.
Okay. Okay.
So that is what has the potential to be
Potential
a
to.
hospital. But here's the problem: we don't operate in a vacuum here. We're subject to what else happens in Alabama and in the country. You might have noticed that the Legislative Black Caucus keeps trying to get the state to expand Medicaid. Have you heard that before?
Not
I have heard it trying to
Yeah,
expand
yeah.
Medicaid.
You
I don't want to lie to you.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta listen to this news, man. Y'all,
Yeah, I got you. I got
I
you.
heard it.
One of the major issues has been that the black folks in the legislature have tried to get people. You heard of Obamacare?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I put it to you that way.
Okay.
Adopting Obamacare and expanding the Medicaid provisions would have saved a lot of rural hospitals.
Right.
Not just John Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
but we had a Macon County hospital too.
Right.
There was a hospital in Bullock County.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many, about 20 or 30 rural hospitals in Alabama had to close up. Now, to answer your question more directly, we have lost population. When I came here, we had 13,500 people in the city of Tuskegee. You now have less than 9,000 people in this community. We can't support a hospital.
Okay.
You can't. It's not enough people here to support a hospital.
Gotcha.
No doctor's gonna come in. You won't get any special. You can't get somebody, a surgeon, to come here to serve 9,000 people when a full service hospital is 20 miles that way and 30 miles that way. They're not coming.
Not coming. You're right.
So I
Right.
don't need you talking about that.
Right. You're right.
What we can have and what we have, what the Macon County Healthcare Authority, which I also established with legislation. Frank Lee and I did that. He worked
Shout out to
on
Frank
the
Lee.
county side.
Shout
I
out to
worked
Lee.
on it from the legislative side. We established the Macon County Healthcare Authority. And they floated bonds and built the Thomas Reed Clinic, which they call Tuskegee Medical, I think.
Right.
Now, what you can have is that plus 8 beds, which would be a rural, I forget what they call it now. It basically is a rural hospital where you can keep people overnight for observation,
Okay.
but you can't do long-term care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
We
Right.
can support that.
Right. Right.
If somebody comes in, with the flu,
Right.
you should be able to. You shouldn't have to say you got to go
Right.
to Lee County.
Right.
Right.
You should be able to say, we put you in bed number 3,
Right.
and somebody be there to take care of the people overnight. We can do things, but we got to work together.
Work together.
We tried. I'm tell you this. We tried. You got that clinic across the street from the old police department.
Mm-hmm.
We first, before we built the Thomas Reed Clinic, we tried to get that board, and it's Community Health, I think is the name of it. There's a guy named Ives, that was running it at the time, would not work with us to build a new modern clinic.
Wow.
It wouldn't work with us. They were located across from the old Big Bear store. Okay, the building's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, they were located there, and they wouldn't work with us to build the clinic. So we went on and did it without them. So once we got that building up, then they found a way to go build the other one. That guy was convicted of embezzlement. You probably didn't know that either. And the reason he didn't want to join up, because then he wouldn't have been able to do what he was doing.
Right. Gotcha.
So, when people don't do something that seems very logical, very reasonable, you got to wonder why.
Why?
And that's what you people got to be looking out for.
Right.
You see something going on, and you know that it shouldn't be going on.
Right.
Somebody got the hand in your pocket.
That's right.
it's usually money. If you follow the money, you can find out what's going on.
Right. Right. Wow. All right. Let's get into this good stuff here. Okay. The Honorable George Clay. On your spare time, what do you like to do? Your hobbies. Tell us something about what you like to do when you're not into what you're into all the time, or dealing with politics and dealing with, NAACP, all that kind of different stuff that you deal with. What you like to do for fun and your hobbies on your own, your free
I'm a
time.
golfer.
Golf.
I play golf,
Golf.
and I've played golf now since the early '70s.
Okay.
Used to be a golf course right outside of town, Penn Oaks.
Okay.
And even before that, there was a golf course where out at Moton Field
Oh,
at one time.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Joe Lewis and other people like that, famous folks,
Yeah.
would come here and play
Wow.
golf right out there
Yeah.
where the Airman's Museum is now.
Wow.
It was one down on the East End side too, wasn't it?
So I think
Oh
it was
no, that was just a driving range.
Okay. Okay.
What's it, Lawrence?
That's why I realized I could never play golf.
I think they were doing a putt too,
Well,
wasn't
you can play. You can play.
Yeah.
Nah,
It's not easy. Golf is
it's,
not
it's
easy.
not easy.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it if it was easy. I'd let somebody else do that. I do the hard stuff.
Stuff. Right.
Golf is difficult. You have to be patient and learn. But yeah, I play golf. And golf has helped me in business. It has helped me in politics because people that have resources and are connected play golf.
I was just
Wow.
gonna ask you, is it true what they
All-
say? That's where the
all-
big deals go down at.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not all of them, but a lot of them. You need to be there.
You be there. Yeah,
if,
right.
if you're not there, you can't be in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I need
That's
to
right.
learn
You
how
gotta
to
be in the
hold-
game.
Action is.
Hey, I need to learn how to hold somebody bag then.
Oh man,
Yeah, that's what I do. I play golf, and golf has been good to me.
okay. Have you been in any kind of tournament, golf tournaments and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I got a bunch of trophies at the house.
Oh, okay.
See, I won those when I was younger.
Yeah,
I haven't won any lately.
So
That's
let
good.
me
I
ask you
am.
this.
And in my office, I got stuff in my office too. Like,
Can any of your children play golf?
Oh.
yeah, both of them.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Jared. He play a
they
little
play-
golf.
Clay can play a little
They
golf.
don't
Okay.
play enough.
He don't
Oh,
play
yeah.
enough.
They don't play enough.
Right.
Yeah, we made sure that they got lessons.
Right.
What usually happens with God, see, it costs money. It's not a poor person game.
Right.
You know,
Gotta
you
have
gotta
good
have some money,
clubs and
to play. But you don't have to have money to practice.
Okay.
A lot of guys used to go out to the VA where there used to be a baseball field.
Mm.
Right.
They would go out there
Yep.
and play.
Yep.
Practice.
Practice.
Hit balls.
Hit the balls,
pick 'em up,
knock them. Yeah.
hit them back the other way.
Right.
So a lot of guys learn to play that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can learn to play that way. It doesn't cost anything but the cost of balls and a couple of clubs. So you can learn that way. And then when you get up and you have money, you can afford to do that. And then, a lot of guys spend money on liquor,
Right.
chasing women.
Right. Yeah.
I don't do that.
Right.
I just play golf.
There you go. That's it.
that's what I told them when they asked me about all those shoes I had. Man, you had all them shoes.
Right.
I said a lot of people spend money on.
What they like.
They're good.
They like what they like. They
shoes.
like.
We find money to do what we
Want
want
to do that right? Oh man,
But this has been good though, man. Learning a lot.
learn a lot.
A lot of names I didn't know about, and I feel bad because you looking at us like, man, y'all should know
Yeah.
You should.
these people. But
Yeah.
It's my fault. It's my generation's fault for not making sure that you all do know.
That's right.
right.
We love that, man.
You don't know your history. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to relive it.
That's right. Doing to relive it.
And it's
Wow.
not being taught. I'm sorry to say that. It's not. Cause some of this stuff I've never, and I ain't finna, man, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I know you. No, cause then you say, tell me what he did.
Your daddy
Mhm.
was a great inspiration all of us, because singing the way that he did,
Okay.
he reminded us that God is a part
That's right.
Right.
of this great movement.
Right. Right.
And you don't go anywhere without it.
Right.
Streeter brought that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, good guy there, man. Good guy. Missed that old Cool Breeze. That's what I used to call
I
him.
miss him too.
Cool. Used to walk. I used to be in the, let me talk about him a little bit. I used to
Come
be
on,
in the
That's
church,
right.
man. I played the drum.
Right.
And so my daddy used to be singing, and these folks falling out and hollering. I'm like, what? And he get to doing his hand like, I'm like, what this man know? What my daddy got some kind of power?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he was a good man. I mean, I seen him endure some stuff that I know I probably couldn't. You know, he would have those talks with me and just tell me that's part of life and that's gonna happen. I often say, um, I wish he was here to see vibes.
Yeah.
I do. I
He
really do.
does see it. I believe he sees it.
Right.
I believe that our ancestors look back at us and see what we've done
Right.
with what they have given us.
That's right. That's right.
Blood.
Blood. That's
That
right.
they have given us.
Right.
The intellect that they have given us. The resources that they
Right.
and the reputation that they handed down. to
Right.
us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's major, man.
Major. That's major.
See? You,
Major.
you know, if you street or something, huh?
Yeah.
What you want, boy?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want your children to, you mention their name and this.
Yeah. Frown up. You know what I mean? Yeah. You want to set the
You don't
tone.
want that.
You don't want that. You don't want that. Man. Okay, let's go to this one right here. What type of wisdom, would you give some young entrepreneurs that's right now getting ready to develop their entrepreneurship? And I know some things are a little different than what it was when you was doing.
Real different.
Yeah, a lot different. But just we want to go some of that old school stuff because it don't never get old.
Right.
You know what I mean? It don't never get old, and you can still use those same techniques that they did back then. What are some of the great advice that you can give to some of these young people out here, and myself and Willie? You know what I mean? That we can take with us some wisdom and some knowledge on entrepreneurship
Okay.
or just life period.
Well, technology has changed a lot of things.
Right.
It really changed the game.
Right.
But what never changes, and it applies not only to business but in your home, you cannot spend more than you bring in.
Great.
Your expenses cannot exceed your income.
Wow.
It cannot.
Wow.
Now, that's real simple.
Real simple.
That's real logical. Isn't it?
Logical.
Why is it why people overspend? Why do they do that?
We just love to spend. We love to spend.
It's good to spend.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to spend.
It's hard not to spend.
It's hard to sacrifice.
Right.
But
right.
I don't care what you're doing,
Mhm.
you cannot spend more than you got coming in.
Man. Wow.
Now, there's nothing more basic than that.
That's right.
And that is real easy. And it's gonna apply whether it's growing a crop or buying something and reselling it at a little higher price, or if it's AI, if it's working
AI.
on these computers.
Yeah.
The same thing is true.
That's right.
You can't spend more than you bringing in.
Wow.
It applies to government. It applies to school. It applies to everything. You can't consume more than you producing.
Right.
That's another way of saying it.
That sums it up right there.
Basic.
That's right. That's right. Spend a dime, make a nickel.
Put it down where the ghost can get it. That's what George Wallace. That's the best thing he ever said.
Now where the ghost can get it. I'm a dog. Got another question? Well, this could probably going to end our podcast, man. We had a real good podcast today, man. I mean, I'm talking about it was really, really great, man. We want you guys to go out and vote, man. Big shouts out to Miss Amy Miller and Guy Tremble and Mr. Billy. That this book right here is called Together We Vote right here. They came on my show on yesterday, and that's what we have to do, man. We got to go out here and we got to vote. Today is voting day right here. It's Tuesday. They call it, what they call it? Magnificent Tuesday. What they call it? It's some type of Tuesday that they call it. On tip of my tongue, some kind of Tuesday. But it's voting day. It is voting day, you guys. It is a voting day. And we want to see if you got any last word, the Honorable George Clay. Any last words for the people out there? Any last words? Big shout out. Anything.
Well, faith has to be a part of whatever you do. I believe in God. I believe that He wants us to come into this world and be productive and to love one another.
Right.
And if we do that, we'll be successful. Doesn't mean you're going to be rich.
Right.
But if you can put food on your table, feed your family, educate your family, and have a decent, happy life, nobody can do more than that. I don't care if you got $10 billion.
Right.
In fact, sometimes money can ruin things for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
Ruin a lot of
I've seen
relationships.
people that
Right.
were perfectly happy, and then they got a lot of money, and it ruined their
Ruined
whole
it.
life. So
Wow.
money is not the answer. Love is the answer. God is the answer. That's it.
That's it. That's it. God is the answer and love is the answer.
Yeah.
That's it. That
we
wraps it
see-
all up right
Well,
there.
Lionel Richie said Jesus is love.
Jesus is love.
He picked that up from WBIL.
No, he did.
You know, he just reworded.
Reworded, yeah.
You know, I used to watch what Richard would write stuff, you know, and I knew where it came from.
Right.
You know, like that song, Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
'cause the guys would walk around, somebody would say something funny or something important, and say, hello. That's where the song came
Okay.
from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Well, we,
Wow.
we appreciate you for taking the time.
We really do.
Learned a lot today. And to be honest, me and Booty Rush made history, guys, because this is the Honorable Clay first podcast.
First podcast. That's right.
So
we done did everything
going down in the
but a
history books.
podcast.
Yeah. We going down in the history books, baby.
Yes, sir.
Now we thank you for the time, and I hope people learn and take what I took from this.
Myself
Had a
too.
lot. And I know we cut it. I mean, I know we could have went on and on. It's a lot we left out, but that's why we can do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right. Right.
whatever,
Right.
You know, but just thank you for taking out the time.
Well,
Right.
thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. Huh? Hey, wait, hey, don't say that stupid. But man, it's been very, very, and I'm talking about, you know, it's been deep too, along with because you know a lot of people can talk about some of the stuff that other folks have done, but you have done it. You was there beside some of the people names that you called out, and that would make it so devastating, man, because it's man, you talking about a chameleon, you know, you knew these guys, you know what I mean? And they got buildings and streets and stuff named after these guys that you knew, grew up with, and been active with them on those levels. You know, don't forget about James Brown either. I love that story now. But we really, to be on the serious side, this whole podcast is about what we're doing. You know what I mean? And you can see that too as well. And I think you talked about a lot of things that you don't normally actually really talk about a lot unless you around close friends and you know and family members. And we got a chance to get you out here and be able to talk to the people, our audience, you know what I mean, and ourselves, because a lot of stuff we learned today with a whole lot. So we just want to thank you once again for taking time out on your schedule to come out here. Don't Say Nothing Stupid podcast. And man, we really want to thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, Honorable George
Thank you.
Clay. All right. So we got to do the head. No, we do the head. No, we got to do like we do it at the same time. We can hit your leg like
Hit
this.
the leg.
You got to do your head. You got to do your head back just like this. You ready? Say it here now.
And we out.
We out, y'all. See y'all. That's official.